You ever have one of those days, the kind where your alarm doesn't go off, your coffee spills, traffic's backed up, and by 9 a.m., you're already questioning your salvation? Come on, don't act holy with me, we've all been there. It's like life has this special way of pushing every button you've got at the same time, and you're sitting there thinking, if one more thing goes wrong today, I'm gonna lose it. But what if God didn't call you to lose it? What if he's trying to use it? What if peace isn't found when everything goes right, but when your heart stays right even when everything goes wrong? See, I came to tell somebody today, you don't have to be calm after the storm. You can be calm in the storm, because peace isn't a place you get to. It's a posture you stand in. So today, I want to talk about how to stay calm no matter what happens, not because life's perfect, but because you're anchored when life's not. Peace is not the absence of problems, it's the presence of perspective. You see, most of us spend our lives chasing a version of peace that doesn't exist. We tell ourselves, once things slow down, I'll finally be calm. Once I get that job, that relationship, that breakthrough, then I'll have peace. But the truth is, peace that depends on perfect conditions is fragile. The moment something shifts, your peace shatters. Real peace isn't about creating a life free from conflict or chaos. It's about learning to see differently right in the middle of it. Perspective is everything. Two people can face the same storm, yet one panics while the other stands firm. The difference isn't the situation. It's the way they see the situation. Perspective shapes your peace. If your perspective is fixed on what's going wrong, your peace will always be on shaky ground. But if your perspective is grounded in something deeper, something unchanging, you can stay calm even when everything around you is falling apart. When you focus on perspective, you start to realize that problems aren't punishments, they're opportunities. Challenges become classrooms. What if instead of asking, why is this happening to me, you asked, what is this teaching me? That simple shift in perspective changes panic into purpose. Suddenly, you're not just going through something, you're growing through it. Perspective turns frustration into formation. You start to see that the same pressure that's overwhelming you is also shaping you. Peace doesn't come from ignoring your problems either. Pretending everything's fine when it's not isn't peace. That's denial. Real peace is when you can look chaos straight in the eye and still choose calm. It's when your faith says, even if it doesn't make sense, I trust there's something bigger happening here. Perspective allows you to see that God is still working even when the plan looks broken. It's realizing that every closed door, every delay, every detour might be protection, not punishment. Think about this. When you're on an airplane and hit turbulence, your first instinct might be fear. But the pilot isn't panicking because from his perspective, he knows turbulence is temporary. He's been through it before, and he knows the plane is built to handle it. That's perspective. You may be in turbulence right now. Life's shaking, uncertainty's rising. But you can stay calm when you remember you're built for this. The storm might shake you, but it won't break you if your perspective stays steady. Peace rooted in perspective doesn't mean you never feel stress or anxiety. It means those feelings don't control you. It means you've learned to anchor yourself in truth that's bigger than the problem. Sometimes you need to step back and ask yourself, what am I focusing on right now? Because whatever fills your focus fuels your feelings. If you focus on fear, you'll feel fear. If you focus on faith, you'll feel peace. Perspective is choosing to lift your eyes above the problem to see the promise beyond it. Every situation looks different when you change the angle. A mountain seems impossible when you stare at it up close, but when you climb higher, the view changes. What once felt overwhelming starts to make sense from above. Perspective lifts you. It reminds you that even if you can't control what's happening, you can control how you see it, and that's where peace lives. Peace is not when life finally settles down. It's when you finally stand firm enough to see it differently. You can't control what happens to you, but you can control what happens in you. Life has a way of throwing things at us that we never asked for and never saw coming. You can be doing everything right, showing up, working hard, staying kind, and still find yourself blindsided by disappointment, betrayal, or loss. That's the thing about life. It doesn't always ask for your permission before it changes your plans. But while you may not have the power to dictate every event, you do have the power to decide your response. That's where your strength lies, not in control over circumstances, but in control over yourself. It's easy to think that peace, joy, or confidence depend on external things, on how people treat you, on whether the opportunity comes through, on whether the plan works out. But if your peace depends on everything going right, you'll always be at the mercy of what happens around you. Real power begins when you stop trying to manage every outcome and start mastering your inner response. Because storms will come whether you want them to or not. But the storm doesn't have to live inside you. You can't always stop the wind, but you can anchor your soul. When you let every situation dictate your emotional state, you hand your power away. Someone says something negative, and suddenly your whole mood shifts. You get bad news and your faith disappears. But strength begins when you draw a line and say, I may not choose what happens, but I will choose how I carry it. That choice, moment by moment, is what builds resilience. It's what separates people who crumble under pressure from those who grow through it. Think of it like this. Life is a constant stream of waves. You can't stop the waves from coming, but you can learn how to surf them. Some people spend their whole lives trying to stop the ocean, wasting their energy fighting against things they can't control. But those who learn how to adjust, how to balance, how to breathe through the chaos, those are the ones who find peace even when the sea is rough. There's a story inside every person that's shaped not by what they've faced, but by how they've faced it. Two people can go through the same struggle, and one becomes bitter while the other becomes better. The difference isn't what happened. It's what they allowed to happen in them. Pain will come, but you get to decide whether it poisons you or purifies you. Difficulty will knock on your door, but you choose whether it destroys your peace or deepens your character. Controlling what happens in you is not about suppressing emotions or pretending to be fine. It's about awareness. It's about recognizing your feelings without letting them dictate your future. It's about saying, yes, this hurt me, but it won't define me. It's the power of pausing before reacting, of choosing patience instead of panic, forgiveness instead of resentment, faith instead of fear. Every time you do that, you're taking back authority over your own heart. Sometimes you can't change the situation, but you can change the story you tell yourself about it. Maybe what feels like a setback is actually setting you up for something greater. Maybe what you lost wasn't meant to stay. Maybe this moment, as painful as it is producing strength in you that you'll need later. That's the inner control that no one can take from you. When you live from the inside out instead of the outside in, your peace becomes untouchable. The world can shake, people can change, plans can fall apart, but your spirit remains steady. You stop waiting for life to calm down before you calm down. Because peace doesn't start when life gets easier. It starts when you realize that while you can't control what happens to you, you can always control what happens in you. Your reaction reveals your foundation. You can tell a lot about a building not by how it looks on a sunny day, but by how it stands in a storm. The same is true for people. It's not the easy seasons that expose what we're made of. It's the moments when everything shakes, when life hits hard, when things don't go as planned. Pressure doesn't create weakness, it reveals it. And it doesn't create strength either. It exposes the strength that's already been built. How you react in the middle of a storm says more about your foundation than 1,000 calm days ever could. Reactions are like reflections. They show what's really inside. When everything's going well, it's easy to appear patient, peaceful, and strong. But when you're pushed, when someone tests your limits, When the news isn't good, what comes out of you reveals what's been built within you. If your foundation is built on fear, anger, or pride, it'll show up the moment you're shaken. But if your life is grounded in faith, truth, and trust, that's what will rise to the surface when things fall apart. The reaction is the evidence of the foundation. Imagine two houses built side by side. One is built on sand, one on rock. Both look beautiful, both look strong. But when the storm comes, the difference becomes obvious. That's how life works too. Some people crumble not because they're weak, but because their foundation was never tested until now. Sometimes life shakes you not to destroy you, but to show you what needs strengthening. Every reaction is feedback. It's revealing what's under construction in your soul. Your reaction also shows what you truly believe. It's easy to say you trust when everything is going your way, but trust isn't proven in comfort. It's proven in chaos. When plans fail, when people walk away, when prayers aren't answered the way you hoped, your response reveals whether your faith was built on circumstances or conviction. If peace vanishes the moment problems appear, maybe your peace was built on control, not confidence. But if you can stay steady even when nothing makes sense, that means your roots go deep. Reactions can also reveal maturity. Children react instantly. They cry, they shout, they throw things when they don't get what they want. But as we grow, we learn to pause, to think before responding, to choose peace over impulse. Emotional maturity isn't about feeling less. It's about responding better. Every time you choose to breathe instead of break, to listen instead of lash out, to trust instead of tremble, you're proving your foundation is growing stronger. Think about the moments that have tested you most, the argument that tempted you to explode, the disappointment that made you want to quit, the delay that made you doubt. Those moments weren't random. They were invitations to see what's inside you. Sometimes God allows pressure, not to punish you, but to prepare you. Because He knows if your foundation isn't strong enough to handle the shaking, the blessing won't be able to stand on it later. He doesn't test you to expose your failure. He tests you to expand your faith. It's not about pretending the shaking doesn't hurt. It's about deciding that the shaking won't destroy what's underneath. The stronger your foundation, the more peace you'll carry no matter what happens. So when life presses you, don't just ask, "Why is this happening?" Ask, "What is this revealing?" Maybe your reaction showed fear. Then that's the area that needs strengthening. Maybe it showed patience. That's a sign you're growing. Either way, awareness leads to transformation. The truth is, storms come for everyone, but not everyone stands the same. Reactions reveal roots. And if your foundation is built on something steady, faith, hope, truth, then no matter what life throws your way, you might shake for a moment, but you won't fall, because your reaction reveals your foundation, and your foundation determines your future. Stillness is strength, not weakness. In a world that glorifies busyness, movement, and constant noise, stillness can feel uncomfortable, almost unnatural. We're taught that productivity equals purpose, and that slowing down means falling behind. But what if the real power isn't in how much we do, but in how deeply we can be? What if the ability to be still, calm, and center, especially when everything around us is spinning, is one of the greatest strengths we can ever develop? Stillness is not surrender, it's control. It's the quiet confidence that says, "I don't have to react to everything happening around me, because I know who I am and where I stand." True stillness isn't about doing nothing. It's about doing the most important thing, staying grounded. When chaos comes, most people panic. They move faster, talk louder, make rash decisions, and let anxiety drive their actions. But strength shows up in the one who can pause, breathe, and see clearly before responding. Stillness gives you space to think, to discern, to hear what's really going on beneath the surface. It's what allows you to respond from wisdom instead of reacting from fear. Anyone can move, few can remain still. The world often mistakes stillness for weakness because it doesn't shout, it doesn't show off, and it doesn't seek attention. But the strongest people are often the quietest in the storm. They've learned that peace is power. They don't need to prove their strength. They live from it. It takes strength to hold your tongue when you could argue, to wait when you want to rush, to stay calm when everyone else is losing control. Stillness is the ability to stand firm in your identity when everything around you tries to shake it. When water is stirred up, it's cloudy and unclear, but when it settles, it becomes transparent again. That's what stillness does to the soul. When life shakes you, when emotions rise and situations blur your vision, stillness brings clarity. It lets the dust settle so you can see the truth beneath the surface. Sometimes the answer you've been searching for isn't in doing more. It's in getting quiet enough to hear what's already been speaking within you. Strength doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers. Stillness doesn't mean inaction. It's not laziness or apathy. It's choosing to act from peace, not panic. It's knowing that sometimes the best move is to wait until the right time instead of rushing just to feel in control. A bowstring has to be pulled back before it releases an arrow with power. In the same way, stillness is the pullback. It's the moment of tension that prepares you for precision. Those who can wait well will always move with more impact when it's time to act. There's a kind of confidence that grows in stillness, too. It's the quiet assurance that you're not defined by your circumstances or your pace. You're anchored in something deeper. When the world tells you to hustle harder, stillness teaches you to trust deeper. It takes more courage to stay calm in uncertainty than to scramble for control. Stillness is not passive, it's powerful restraint. It's saying, I don't need to chase what's already meant for me. In stillness, your strength renews. Just like a muscle needs rest to grow, your spirit needs stillness to restore. Every time you pause to breathe, reflect, or pray, you're rebuilding inner resilience. You're training yourself to operate from stability, not stress. That's the kind of strength that can't be shaken, because it's not fueled by emotion, it's anchored in peace. So when everything in you wants to rush, defend, or react, remember that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is be still. Not because you're weak, but because you're wise. Because you know that stillness is not the absence of strength. It's the proof of it. Don't let temporary chaos steal your eternal calm. Every day, life gives us a choice. React to the noise or remain rooted in peace. Chaos is loud, unpredictable, and often overwhelming. It shows up in the form of sudden problems, unexpected news, or moments that shake your routine. It demands your attention, your energy, your focus. But just because chaos comes knocking doesn't mean you have to let it move in. Calm is not something that disappears when life gets hard. It's something that can endure if you protect it. The challenge is remembering that not every storm deserves your surrender. Temporary chaos is exactly that, temporary. It feels permanent when you're in the middle of it, but it passes. The mistake many people make is letting momentary problems create lifelong patterns of fear, frustration, or anxiety. One bad day becomes a bad week, and before they know it, their peace is gone. But the truth is, no temporary situation should have the power to take away your lasting calm. Calm that comes from within, from faith, from understanding who you are and whose you are, is eternal because it doesn't depend on what's happening. It depends on what's anchoring you. You can't stop chaos from showing up, but you can stop it from setting the tone of your spirit. Chaos wants to pull you out of alignment, to make you react impulsively, to make you forget that peace is your power. When things start falling apart, the enemy of your calm whispers, you have to fix it now. You have to do something. But sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is not do anything right away. Sometimes calm looks like taking a breath before speaking, stepping back before deciding, or trusting when you don't understand. It's in those pauses that strength is built. Think about a hurricane. In the middle of all that destruction, there's a place called the eye of the storm. Inside the eye, there's stillness, calm, Everything is swirling around it, but right in the center it's quiet. That's what eternal calm feels like. You can live in the eye of the storm, not because life around you is peaceful, but because your peace comes from a deeper place. The chaos may rage, but it can't touch what's centered in truth. Your calm is not found in escaping the storm, it's found in learning to live anchored within it. When we let temporary chaos steal our peace, we lose perspective. We start magnifying the problem instead of the promise. We start reacting to every little thing as if it's the end of the world, forgetting that this moment will pass. Eternal calm comes from seeing beyond the moment. It's the confidence that says, "This too shall pass, but my peace will remain." It's the realization that while you can't control the outcome, you can always control your outlook. Sometimes chaos isn't meant to break you. It's meant to reveal where your calm truly comes from. If your peace disappears every time life gets difficult, it's a sign your calm was built on comfort, not conviction. Eternal calm is built on something deeper, it's built on trust. It's knowing that even when life feels uncertain, there's a greater plan still unfolding. It's reminding yourself that storms don't last forever, but strong spirits do. Protecting your calm doesn't mean ignoring reality or pretending things don't hurt. It means refusing to let temporary pain steal permanent joy. It's choosing to live from peace, not for peace. Because if you live for peace, you'll spend your life chasing moments of quiet. But if you live from peace, you'll carry calm wherever you go. And when chaos comes, and you'll meet it with stillness, confidence, and grace. That's how you keep your eternal calm untouched by temporary storms. When you stay anchored in faith, no storm can shake your peace. Life will always have storms, moments that test your patience, shake your confidence, and stretch your endurance. You can't avoid them. Some storms come with warning signs, while others arrive without notice. But the power of faith is that it gives you an anchor when everything else feels unstable. Faith doesn't stop the waves from coming, but it stops you from being swept away by them. It reminds you that peace isn't the absence of storms, it's the presence of trust. Faith is the quiet voice that whispers, "You're going to make it." Even when the winds are howling, it's the strength that keeps you standing when the ground beneath you starts to shift. When you're anchored in faith, you're not relying on how things look. You're relying on what you know to be true. You know that storms don't last forever. You know that even if you can't see the sun, it's still shining above the clouds. You know that peace is possible, not because everything is calm, but because you're connected to something greater than the chaos. An anchor doesn't stop a ship from feeling the waves. It just keeps it from drifting away. That's what faith does for your soul. It keeps you steady when life pulls you in every direction. People without an anchor chase control, panic under pressure, or look for something external to hold on to. But when your faith is firm, you realize that your peace doesn't depend on the weather. It depends on your foundation. The stronger your faith, the steadier your peace. Sometimes the hardest part of a storm isn't the storm itself. It's the waiting. The uncertainty, the silence. It's easy to trust when everything's visible, but faith asks you to believe even when it's not. It's in those moments that you learn whether your anchor is real or just a decoration. Because surface, level faith looks strong in calm waters, but deep faith holds steady when the waves get rough. Deep faith doesn't say, "I'll trust when I understand." It says, "I'll trust even when I don't." When you're anchored in faith, you stop letting fear write the headlines of your heart. Fear says, "What if I don't make it?" Faith says, "Even if it gets hard, I'm still held." Fear focuses on the storm. Faith focuses on the Savior. It's the difference between looking at the wind and remembering who controls it. Every time you choose to trust instead of tremble, your anchor sinks a little deeper. And the deeper your anchor, the calmer your spirit becomes. Peace that's built on circumstance can be stolen in a moment, but peace that's built on faith can withstand anything. Faith teaches you that even in the shaking, something sacred is happening. You're being refined, strengthened, prepared. The same waves that try to sink you are shaping your strength. The same winds that try to push you down are teaching you how to stand taller. When your heart stays anchored in faith, no amount of uncertainty can uproot your inner calm. It's not that faith makes the storm easy. It makes it purposeful. It reminds you that every test has meaning, and that peace is possible even in pain. You can look at the storm and say, "You can roar, but you can't reach me. You can shake the surface, but you can't touch my soul." That's the kind of peace that can't be explained. It's the peace that comes from knowing you're not alone in the storm. So when the winds rise and the waves hit, remember where your anchor is. Don't let panic pull you away from your peace. Stay grounded in faith, because no matter how violent the storm becomes, it can't move what's built on something eternal. When your soul is anchored in faith, no storm can shake your peace.